But that's what we came to is, and I remember thinking to myself, like, how could you ever be afraid of success? What do you mean, man? What do you mean? Isn't that what we're playing for?
Where do dreams and goals come from? Where do they come from? I think they're part of your calling. Why do we have these goals and dreams? Like, no one like says, "Hey, you should want that." I think it comes from your calling. I think you're called to go do something in the world. I really do. And I think you have to follow that.
Next Level Nation, welcome back to another very special, as always, episode of Next Level University, where we teach you how to level up your life, your love, your health, and your wealth. We hope you enjoyed our latest episode. It was last week's live Q&A. I believe it was episode number 1032. Today, for episode number 1033, could you be afraid of success? So I know for me, this was never one of my fears. My fear was always failing at any level, not only the highest level, but basically every level along the way. And I remember when Alan and I started digging deep and we started really, really becoming more aware of ourselves and becoming more self-aware and becoming more hyper-conscious. I remember, Alan, you and I had a conversation and we got to the point where you actually identified that you believed you were afraid of success.
Kev, can you tell the story? It was the Confident Women's Consortium. Shauna Pelton was speaking. She identified the 5 main root fears of the human condition, something along those lines. I'm paraphrasing. And she brought me up. So she asked for a volunteer.
Naturally, you volunteered.
I did volunteer. And then you screamed out from the audience. She went through each of the fears. One of them was fear of judgment. One of them was fear of failure. A couple others, I forget.
Yeah.
And you said, ask him if he's afraid of success from the audience. And I was like, screw you, man. No, I'm kidding. And then I proceeded to do a meditation with her live in front of the entire audience and just cried. And like a lot came out of me. Can you tell that story?
Oh, I feel like you just told it.
Yeah, I do too. I do too.
But I think,
what's your take on all that?
You and I had already had that conversation because you and I were talking one day, and I think we got to the root cause of that was you were afraid you were going to have to leave everybody behind. So I think you subconsciously were afraid of success because you knew success would distance you even more from the people that you loved. I apologize if I went too deep there. But
no, you're good.
I feel like I just ousted you in front of everybody.
You didn't. That is true.
But that's what we came to is, and I remember thinking to myself, like, how could you ever be afraid of success? What do you mean, man?
I know.
What do you mean? Isn't that what we're playing for?
I know. I know. I was on the phone earlier with, so I gave a virtual training recently, and I offer at the end of the virtual training a free 30-minute call. And I got to meet this woman, and similar to the last episode, or maybe 2 episodes ago, I forget which. I think it was the last episode, where I talked about this diagram that I've been writing a lot. And it's you now, insert individual's name now. And then in the middle is fear, just a big bubble of fear. Fear of blank. And then at the top is your dreams and goals. And I kept it blank on purpose while I was drawing it out during the coaching call. And I said, what do I put here? And she said, success. And first I put judgment, and she's like, I don't think that's it. I said, success. I said, okay, why? What's the root cause of your fear of success? And we thought about it, and I said, do you think there's any truth to this? You're afraid that if you were to succeed and really lean into your greatness, are you afraid that that would hurt your relationships, or that you'd have to leave your relationships behind? And I want to share with our listeners the uncomfortable truth is what I would call it. I would say that right now I'm grateful to say that Kevin and I are more successful than we've ever been. Even back when we were making all that money back in our old jobs, And if you don't know our story and you're a new listener, I was very successful in my early 20s. Kevin was very successful in his mid-20s. I stopped working in corporate America, started my own podcast called Conversations Change Lives. Kevin started the Hyperconscious podcast. We teamed up, and here we are 7-8 years later. And we're finally surpassing our old level of quote-unquote success, especially when it comes to finances. And I will say that leaning into who I really am over the last 1,000 episodes really has forced every relationship in my life to evolve. Because if you're listening or watching this, when you evolve, when you grow, when you change and adapt, your relationships have to grow, evolve, and adapt. They have to. There's no other way. And the uncomfortable truth is that I think that fear actually had some validity, because I remember before my car accident at 26, before I quit corporate America, I had so many friends. I had so many high school friends that I brought to my college, and we had a lot of fun, and I had so many college friends, and then I had so many corporate friends. And it's interesting, in hindsight, I actually brought a lot of my college friends to Cognex, the job I was at. I remember, I told you this, Kev, they had a Grand Slam poster of me. It was the first time I've ever been in a baseball uniform, and they had me, I was kind of the poster boy for their referral program, for lack of better phrasing. And because I had really crushed it in their bonus structure of, instead of hiring a recruiter to hire people, they had me refer people from WPI, which was my college. And so anyways, 369, this whole referral structure. And so I brought my high school friends to my college to party, and I introduced my college friends to my high school friends, and then I brought my college friends to my corporation, literally four different people from WPI, and I now understand that I think all of that was predicated on a fear of maybe not having friends or outgrowing people. And so if you are listening or watching this and you feel like you do have a fear of success on any level, what it really is, I think, is a fear of losing relationships. Because I had tons of high school friends, college friends, corporate friends, and the uncomfortable truth is, while I still love so many of those people, I don't see any of them anymore. Certainly not consistently. And that sucks. But I also do know, this journey is hard enough as it is with compatible relationships that have similar core aspirations, core values, and core beliefs. Never mind. And here's the other part of the uncomfortable truth. There's no way Kevin and I could be the men we are today and operate at the level we operate today, next level you, be at this level and beyond, without having cut ties with many of those relationships. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
And I used to tell myself a story that wasn't the case. And I think what I did is what a lot of our listeners might be doing, which is allowing the fear of losing relationships to stop you from living in your calling, to stop you from achieving your dreams and your goals. Kev, it's like, where do dreams and goals come from? Where do they come from? I think they're part of your calling. Why do we have these goals and dreams? Like, no one says, "Hey, you should want that." I think it comes from your calling. I think you're called to go do something in the world. I really do. And I think you have to follow that. And if you don't, and of course, that calling is going to put you on a different path, often a path that differs from the people you grew up with. Yeah. And I think that that's so obvious to me now, but at the time it was just really, really hard.
It's so interesting. It's like, really, if you really think about it, what are the odds that the people you grew up with are all going to grow at the same rate in the same direction towards the same thing? It's like almost zero.
Yeah.
Like, just statistically, from a statistical standpoint, it's like the odds of that are not very high.
Not high at all.
Even the people in my life that are dream chasing, and again, there's nothing negative about this, but even the people in my life who are dream chasing, they're not playing for the same thing we are, and that's okay. Trust me, I don't expect them to or suggest that they do, but even that is the more ambitious people in my life still aren't necessarily trying to get to the level that we are. So that's a whole nother thing. I wonder, when I think about the fear of success, one of the things I think of, and this is relatively new for me, is not being able to maintain. Like not being able to just consistently show up. That's like a little Alan just got triggered. Very triggered.
I don't feel that way
I
at
know,
all.
I'm grateful.
Yeah.
Not from the fact that I can't do it, but it's like the pressure that will be. It's like when I'm going on a podcast and I'm like, right now, you and I are relatively unknown in the world. Like we have a lot of listens and we have a successful podcast.
Yeah.
But like nobody's recognizing me. I had a moment. I think this is where it came from.
No one's like recognizing you on the streets.
No.
Go ahead.
Taryn and I went to Portsmouth, New Hampshire for a date day last weekend. And when I got home, I was like, imagine if like 10% of everybody I saw recognized me. Like what an insane amount of pressure that would be. Everything I do in public would be completely different. Or at least I'd feel pressured to be completely different. Like, am I?
There you go. I gotta.
Like, yeah. No.
I hope you're operating in some pretty high integrity, not just when people recognize you. Yeah.
But it's one of those things of like, what really did it is we went to get lunch and the waitress was awesome, and I told Taryn, I was like, I left a 50% tip, and that's something I just love doing that. It's so important to me, and I was like, I wonder if that would be different if I was famous. Like, I literally had this conversation on the walk to the bathroom. If this was Taryn and I's spot and we came here every week, would it get to the point where people would be like, oh, Kev's coming, I want his table because I know he leaves a big tip? Like, is it going to get to that point? Like, that's weird and that's a lot of pressure. Like, what if the service is good that day? I still got to leave a hunch?
Yeah.
So like for me, I think I don't really think I struggle with the fear of success because frankly, I didn't think I was going to be very successful.
Even that is a reframe of the fear of failure, which is hilarious.
It's letting somebody else down. But yeah, I would say that like one of the things that I know you and I have locked up is our characters. I'm sorry, I'm laughing because of if you listen to Wednesday's episode, I'm now on hour 17, I think, or whatever. However
17 hours straight.
How many hours I've been
group
this
coaching.
This is my 7th podcast of the day.
Yeah. 7th
coaching
podcast
call.
of the day plus group coaching call. Yeah, it's a heavy day.
I was at the gym
Kev.
at 6 a.m. I was at the gym, so
it's been another nail in the structure, as they say.
Feels good, honestly. I think that's part of it too. Is like, am I going to work 5 a.m. until 10 p.m. forever? It's like, can I do that? I'm going to die. That might literally kill me. One of the reasons I think people are afraid of it is because they're afraid to get found out. They're afraid to get their shining moment and somebody see a crack in their armor. Like, oh, I thought that person was going to be different. I think that's what I feel is like, I don't ever want, and if you listen to this, you've heard me say this many times. I don't ever want somebody to meet me in person and say, oh, I thought he was going to be nicer or more patient. That will have to happen, I'm sure. Eventually there's going to be like, I'm not going to be able to take as many pictures as I want. If there's 100 people, and I don't know, is this ever going to happen? I don't know. I like to think so. But if I take 99 pictures and there's one person who I let down, like that's going to have to happen eventually. Like Tony Robbins can't sign every autograph or every picture or take a picture or answer every DM, right? So like at some point that's going to happen.
This is such an interesting conversation. I've never considered any of that.
I know. That's why that's always an interesting conversation. I don't know what you think of, man. Sometimes I wonder if you think of anything. It's like you just go about your day like, wow, 50 years from today is going to be cool. It's like it's you and I are just different humans.
No, it's funny. It's good.
But I do think that. I think one of the reasons is relationships. I think the other is some people. I don't foresee this as something in our community because our community is very heart-driven. And from my experience, Alan, I'm sure you would mirror this, just very good humans.
Oh, for sure.
We have a great community of heart-driven,
definitely
value-driven, stand-up human beings. So I don't think this is the case for you if you're listening, but it could be part of it is maybe you don't feel like you have built the character that can sustain that success yet. I said that on a podcast today. they said, what makes you and Alan, number one, so humble and so focused on humility in the organization? And I said, for the first 2-3 years, I know it sounds dumb. We didn't focus on anything other than character. Like, that is when we had the conversations like, hey man, we can't talk like that. We can't say that. Those jokes are not going to fly. We can't do that. Like, that's not who we are in this world. And those were some of the hardest things we ever talked about. But I think that set us up for the future, where I'm not really worried about that, you know, because we work so hard on it. So I wonder if that's
what's
another
interesting
thing.
is I do worry about that a little bit. I wonder if that's part of the fear of success. I would say that being misunderstood and something being taken out of context concerns me a little bit, because, I mean, if you publicize anyone's worst moment, it's not going to be pretty. And I think that, you know, but at the same time, I've always felt like these leaders who have so much influence, they have a responsibility. I remember I had an argument in college. I know I digress here, but I had an argument in college with someone who's a close friend and roommate of mine. And he's like, you know, these people didn't sign, these athletes, they didn't sign up to be role models. I said, yeah, but they are. I don't care if they signed up for it. If you're famous, you have a responsibility. You have a responsibility to these kids that look up to you to do your best and to better your best. And that's a whole nother conversation. But I am concerned with that. I think leading by example is something on my radar always. Like, where am I teaching something that I'm not practicing? I'm always thinking about that. But I don't think that has to do with my fear of success necessarily. I really do think my fear of success comes down to my relationships. I'm not I'm trying to be vulnerable here, and I don't want this to come off improperly. But at the end of the day, it is my truth, so I'll just share it. I don't have a ton in common with people who don't have big goals. Yeah. It's very hard to be relatable. I mean, there's certain things I have in common for sure, of, you know, challenges with drinking in the past. But I think that there are certain clients of mine that have very, very high goals. And I feel like I can relate more. I do. And when you lean into your own unique strengths, there's going to naturally be less people who can relate with you there. You know, I'll use an example. Who was it? It was Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston were dating for a while. Way back in our day. Late 90s or early 2000s, I forget. Yeah. But it makes sense, right? They both kind of understand what their life is like being famous, and they get each other on a deeper level than someone who has never been an actor and has never been famous. And we understand that too. I mean, if you've never podcasted, it's just going to be a little more difficult to understand what it's like to have 1,000 episodes and what it's like to do an episode a day. Yeah. That's okay. Right, Emilia and I are both podcasters, so I connect with her on that. And I think that's what it comes down to is relationships. I really believe this. I believe that relationships are built on commonality, and growth is built on the differences. And I think that you have to have enough in common in terms of core aspirations, which is your goals, core values, which is what you value, and core beliefs, which is what you believe. But you also have to have enough differences to where you can help each other grow and challenge each other. It has to be this weird, really beautiful sweet spot of, okay, we're in alignment in terms of core aspirations, core values, and core beliefs, and we have enough in common to where we're not going to constantly break rapport and disagree all the time. But we also have enough differences where we can really help each other grow and see perspectives that we wouldn't have seen otherwise. And I think that when you lean into your big goals and dreams, your calling, I think it's harder to find that sweet spot with more people. I think it becomes more quality over quantity. And that's certainly been my experience, and I know yours as well, Kevin. So I think your biggest fear was ending up a failure. No, I'm just joking. No, but I do. I think you were afraid of that. I think you were afraid of not building wealth and not being successful.
Yeah.
And not being
significant. I traded it all.
Yeah, exactly.
Take me there. What do I got to do?
I don't think I've really been that afraid of not being successful. I think I feel confident in my ability to be successful. But I don't feel super confident in my ability to sustain, really magnificent relationships while also achieving my goals and dreams. And I think it makes sense. And I think I'm better now than I've ever been at that. But it's really, really hard to focus on achieving large goals while simultaneously building magnificent relationships. I mean, Emilia and I were with our family this past weekend, and, she drove down Thursday morning. I drove down Friday night. I didn't get there until 11:30 p.m. on Friday night. And then I left on Sunday, and we had a magnificent weekend, fireworks, barbecue, lake, awesome boats, amazing weekend. But I mean, that's, a day and a half. And we worked all day Saturday. Like all day Saturday, I did book club, I did a bunch of coaching. So there's not a ton of extra quality time to build quality relationships when you are focusing on your goals and dreams. And if you're afraid of success, that's got to have something to do with it. I think that's my through line.
I want to make sure I give credit because this was actually recommended to us by Brenda, this episode. I completely forgot that. Thank you, Brenda. I completely forgot that when I introduced it because I remember thinking that.
Brenda from group coaching.
Brenda from group coaching, yeah.
Brenda from group coaching.
Shout out to Brenda. I remember you and I talked about that, Alan. I was like, I said, there's no way you're going to be friends with all these people in 5 years. It's not possible.
I remember you saying that. And I think I
knew.
Can you talk about, what did I say? Didn't I say like, yeah, I totally could, or I was like thinking about it?
Yeah, I think you were of the belief of like, yeah, I'm still going to be at everybody's wedding and we're going to be friends. And, we used to joke about like the yacht, like my friends will all be on the yacht. And I was like, they're not. The difference between, and this isn't obviously a deeper conversation, but your focus is so much on the mission that it's very hard for other people to understand that. I think some people take it personally.
Definitely. Definitely.
So,
I had two close friends of mine who I care about dearly, who I saw the photos on Facebook of their wedding, and I got invited. One of them was going to take a week, and I was going to be a groomsman, and it was in California. It's like, with everything we've got going on at NLU, I wasn't going to be able to do that. That wasn't aligned for me.
Yeah.
And the other one, it wasn't aligned for me, also because of the alcohol stuff. But I saw those photos on Facebook, and it was like, damn. Yeah. It's like I wasn't there. And I know that's a choice, and that's the choice that I've made, and I will take the responsibility of the repercussions of that choice. And I know both of those people are not thrilled that I wasn't there. But I also understand that is what I need to do. And so hopefully that lands for some people out there chasing dreams who have to say no to some of the relationships in their life. I wanted to believe that, we'd all achieve dreams together forever. And I do. I wanted to believe that, and it just wasn't true. It's not statistically true. It's not mathematically true. It's not science of achievement true. It's not even really possible. And I'm not one to say things are impossible, but it would have been impossible for us to be where we are and who we are right now without having sailed away, so to speak.
Hi everyone, my name is Amanda. I am a dental hygienist and a mom of 2 teenagers. I was first introduced to Kevin and Alan about 3 years ago, where I listened to a live Zoom training. I was really impressed with the value that they packed into that hour-long call, and that led me to their podcast page. I've been blessed to be able to be a student of them in that way through their podcast over the last 3 years, and the growth that I've seen in them, I guess, is what inspires me to keep coming back, because they not only talk the talk, but they walk the walk, and I see the changes in them, weekly, monthly, yearly. So that led me to book a consultation with Alan about 6 months ago, and I showed up to that call in the lowest spot that I've been at in my entire life. The empathy and compassion that he presented in that call and how much work we still got done despite the state that I was in was, again, very impressive to me, and I've been a one-on-one client ever since. Alan is someone that you want in your corner. I have grown so much over the past 6 months in my ability to make decisions, my confidence, the relationships that I have, my organization, my motivation, and I'm only just getting started. I've made so many big moves, and he is the biggest motivator and the biggest encourager, and he is a good human that genuinely wants the best in your life, your future, your love, your relationships, your wealth, and they just want to make the world a better place, and I believe that. And if you have the chance to be in the same room or on the same call or have these two in your life in any way, then you are blessed, and it is a gift. So thank you so much from the bottom of my heart for everything that you guys do and pour into everyone, and I'm just so excited to watch your journey keep unfolding and to be a part of that in any way that I can.
Yeah, it's one of those things. Like, I think that the lesson there is you're going to, and I don't want to use this analogy lightly, but you do have to break some eggs. Like, you're gonna hurt people's feelings, not you, the collective you.
Oh, of course.
I think it's just par for the course, because if you're not going to the same place, there eventually will be something that is like a core value that you can't meet, because it's no longer a core value for you. It's this weird, so Taryn and I are going to Colorado, and like, if it wasn't Taryn and I, number one, if it wasn't Taryn, and number two, we weren't getting married, that wouldn't be something, like, I wouldn't just do that for a vacation with a buddy or anything. But even that, I asked Taryn, I said, like, number one, my goal is going to be to work. I'll get up early and work every morning. I just at least do the bare minimum. I mean, I'm not going to be doing podcast interviews and coaching calls, right? That's not going to happen. But I said, I would like to do I don't remember if I said group, I got to look at the calendar, but I think it was the live podcast. I was like, I'd love to be able to do that. And she's like, what time is it going to be? And I said, well, we're 3 hours behind, or 2 hours behind in Colorado, so it'll be 6, so 4, like 4 p.m. And she's like, yeah, hopefully you'll have Wi-Fi, you'll be able to do that. Like, you can do that. I don't see why not. And it's like, I just want a little something. I just want it but even that is like, if I push that too far, it's like, well, I'm going to work every day while we're there. It's like, that's a huge jeffing. Mm-hmm. That's a huge jeffing. So I think you have to, I don't want to say pick your battles, because that's not what it's like, especially in my relationship. But I think that you have to understand that there will be rapport breaks.
Definitely.
There will be.
Kev, one more thing, I know we got to go here.
Yeah.
This is something that I do think lands, and it helped me understand it at a deeper level too. Core aspirations, core values, core beliefs. I have the perfect example. You're in a car. Oh yeah, here we go. You're in a car, and you're with your intimate partner or whoever is in this relationship with you that you're afraid to break rapport. A core belief in conflict is as if you're headed to the same destination and you're listening to the same music and you're loving it, but you have a different belief on how to get there. Okay, so one person wants to, I drove, when I was in my early 20s, I drove from Boston to Los Angeles. And there's a northern route, there's a middle route, and a southern route. We took the middle route, right on through. And imagine you're in a car with someone and they really want to take the southern route. And you're like, no, I would rather take the northern route. I hate the heat. That's a belief in conflict. So now you can't take the same car. Otherwise, someone's going to have to compromise. Now, core value in conflict is, let's say you both agree, let's take the southern route. But I like country music and this other person loves, I don't know, heavy metal. And so the whole journey kind of sucks because you don't agree on the music. That's a core value in conflict. And then a core aspiration in conflict, and this is the big one, I think, is we're headed to a different place. Yep. So I want to go to, let's say, San Diego, which is in Southern California, and you want to go to San Francisco, which is Northern California. We're going to have to leave. We're going to have you get out of the car halfway through the country. And so we can't take the same car. What if this analogy is the analogy of why we all have to get over this fear of success? Because underneath the fear of success is a fear of losing relationships, which are inevitably going to happen anyway as we get older. as you get older and you get closer and closer and closer to your destination, aka your destiny, and you lean into who you really are, your core aspirations, your core values, your core beliefs, and you get more and more clear on who you are, of course there's going to be less people who are going to the exact same place in the exact same way in the exact same car for the exact same route. It's not, you and I are in the same car to the same destination. Kev, you and I. It's like, how are we supposed to expect that of everybody?
Yeah.
We're business partners,
That's why I think that was my belief, is I just didn't believe that most people. That's why I always try to empathize. It's like, I don't expect anybody to want to take this ride with us. It's brutal. It's like the most challenging thing in the world. I wouldn't want to do it if I didn't have the belief I do in you and me and the mission. I mean, that's what keeps me going, the mission. But if you don't have the mission, you're not going to want to do it because you won't believe it'll be worth it. Even if we don't make it to California, it doesn't really matter. What is California? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. We're still on the mission. It doesn't matter if we get stuck in Las Vegas and I gamble away our life savings. Horse races. It doesn't really matter.
Of course, you'd use that example,
right? This is the last thing. And
sports
we'll
betting really has become a habit, huh?
Yeah, I don't do it as much as you think. It's in the football season I do, and I win. It's very hard to bet on mixed martial arts. There's way too many things that can go wrong. Way too many. This is a good way to think about it. I am better friends. So let's just say this. From my childhood, I probably talk to, and when I say childhood, I mean middle school, high school, maybe, I don't know, 2 people, 3 people, maybe 3. I have made better friends on this journey, not just the team, because the team, I'm friends with everybody in the team, but that all started from the team, really, more than friends. But I think of Derek on the Evolve squad. Derek and I are good friends. He messages me all the time on Instagram. I message him all the time on Instagram about mixed martial arts, and he'll say, hey, look at this video I saw. Him and I are really good friends at this point.
Even that is based on a core value you have in common.
But that's mixed what I'm saying is...
Exactly, yeah.
Things changed, and then I attracted the people that I should have. I'm telling you, if you want to attract your people, you have to be yourself. That is my thing. You just have to be you. You just have to be you. And the biggest
There's
thing...
your next meme on Instagram.
I've already used it. It's been a while,
That's
so I
good
could probably
stuff.
use it again. Well,
That's
I think
good
the
stuff.
other problem is if you're not yourself in your relationships, and I know this still has to do with could you be afraid of success, but if you're not yourself in your relationships, those relationships will never actually grow apart if they should. It's that weird in between where it's I'm enough of who I used to be to stay with this person, but I'm also enough of who I want to be to feel like I'm making progress towards my goals, but I'm not enough of who I want to be to attract the people who I actually want to attract. That's the lesson that I would throw out there is if you want to attract your people, you have to be yourself. And if you're not yourself around the people you used to hang out with, you're putting yourself in a very, very weird position, and you're going to be in lonely land longer than you have to be because you're not going to connect on either side as much as you could.
Right. And my through line, my lesson, my main takeaway would be if you're out there and you're I am not afraid of failure. Fail forward, fail forward, fail forward. You know it. I'm not afraid of failure. I'll fail forward all day. If you're resonating with this fear of success, and I want to say this is the minority, I think the majority is statistically afraid of failure. But if you are afraid of success, and maybe you're afraid of both, maybe you're in that lukewarm middle of I'm just successful enough to feel successful, but not successful enough to lose my relationships. I think a lot of people are there. What I would say is the root cause of your fear of success in particular is probably a fear of outgrowing others. And I would say, this was my suggestion to my client earlier, or the person I was on the phone with earlier, is you have to mourn that loss in advance. This is what I had to do. I had to mourn the loss in advance, and I had to energetically, consciously, proactively disconnect from that future where they are in my future. And if they're in my future, that's great, but I have to not make that a must for me. Yeah. Because the moment that's a must, now all of a sudden I'll shrink or not go in alignment just to make sure that it works. And I've been very guilty of that, and mourning the loss in advance, mourning the potential loss in advance has really freed me to be myself. And you're not going to achieve your destiny, your dreams, your dharma. You're not going to achieve your fulfillment if you're not yourself. That's what I would say. Your fulfillment is a byproduct of you in alignment with your highest calling, and your highest calling is going to require you to outgrow some people.
The old Dharma, you brought me right back to the 7 Spiritual Laws by Deepak when you said Dharma. I had never heard of that before that. That was a very interesting book.
It's an interesting time for the kids.
Yeah, it was awesome. I enjoyed that. I went through this phase where I was only listening to spiritual. Deepak was big. Michael Singer.
Dave Meltzer.
What was Michael Singer? Untethered Soul.
Mm-hmm.
That was a very interesting time in my life. I enjoyed that. That helped me connect with myself at a very deep level.
It was a necessary chapter.
It's a necessary chapter. All right, we're
Don't
gonna
get
go
lost in there though.
Well, no, it can get dangerous. It can get dangerous. It's 9:50 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and we're gonna go. If you are trying to lean more into you and you're trying to be more of yourself to attract your people, join our private Facebook group, Next Level Nation. It's all positive. Either I post, Amy posts, Alan posts, somebody is posting in there every single day. Every single day there will be something that will make you think. And again, if you don't feel like you have people on your team, yes, a lot of it is challenging. Yes, it's hard to get outside of our comfort zones and meet new people, but there are places to do it, and Next Level Nation is one. You could literally go through, see the members, and send messages. It's a great place to do it. Everybody in there has some form of a dream that they are chasing. Maybe it's different than yours, but it doesn't mean you can't connect. So join our private Facebook group. We love you, and we'd love to have you there.
If you've ever wondered how Kevin and I have had the courage to try hard to stay consistent and lean into our dreams, one of the reasons is something we refer to as the 5 next level C's to thrive. And we have a course on the website. So if you go to nextleveluniverse.com, you can click the link in the show notes. We have a free course. Kevin wanted to charge for it, and I said, no, we're going to give this away for free. The 5 C's are the following: commitment, clarity, consistency, community, and confidence. Those are the 5 things that you must have to overcome these fears of success, these fears of failure, to outgrow past relationships, those kinds of things. So download the course. Kev, true or false, we also have another course. Is it not live yet? We have another course coming to be determined.
Yeah, it's not live yet. So we'll have our Next Level Live 2022. The full digital version of that event will be up on the website, and we'll have some worksheets, and it'll be very nicely put together. It's already very nicely put together. It's just not live yet, but we will let you know when it is.
To be continued.
To be continued. Next Level Nation, as always, we love you. We appreciate you. I do not know what episode is dropping tomorrow because, again, we're behind the 8 ball because of group coaching and all that stuff. So there will be an episode tomorrow. I don't know the name of it. I do know it's episode 1034. As always, we love you. We appreciate you. Grateful for each and every one of you. And at NLU, we do not have fans. We have family. We will talk to you all tomorrow.
Please reach out.